It really does feel like we're just in the middle of an AI explosion, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Every time you turn around, there's a new model, a new framework, something else to try and understand.
Yeah.
It's exciting, definitely, but wow, keeping up without just feeling completely swamped,
Yeah.
that's a challenge.
It really is. The pace is just,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
And with so much information, flying at you from everywhere, it's hard to filter what's actually important.
Exactly. Which is kind of what we're trying to do for you today.
Hmm.
Welcome to this deep dive. We've basically spent time digging through a whole heap of recent AI updates. Think GitHub repos, AI Twitter threads, research conference news, industry announcements,
All that stuff.
right? And the idea is to boil it all down to the insights that, well, that you actually need to know.
Kind of like your curated guide through the AI jungle right now.
That's a good way to put it.
Uh,
Our mission here is to spotlight the real breakthroughs, the tools gaining momentum, the interesting questions popping up so you get the bigger picture without drowning in details.
Makes sense. So where do we kick things off?
One of the first things that really made me pause was this DeepWiki project. This is from Silas Alberti over at Cognition.
Ah, yeah, I saw that.
The idea is just, it's brilliant because it's simple, right? It turns any GitHub repo into like a searchable encyclopedia.
Right, with a Devon-backed chatbot helping out.
Exactly. And the coolest part, you just change the URL slightly,
Yeah.
that's it. What really stands out to you about that one?
Well, for me, it's the potential impact on how we actually, learn from and engage with open source code. Think about a developer, maybe someone new, jumping into a really complex project.
Yeah, that's daunting.
Totally. Instead of spending like hours just trying to navigate the code and docs, they could just ask a question in plain English.
And get a relevant answer because the AI kind of gets the whole code base.
Precisely. I mean, this could fundamentally change onboarding, couldn't it? Speed things up, maybe even spread knowledge more effectively within projects.
That onboarding angle is huge.
Yeah,
Could be a game changer for just collaboration in general.
I think so.
Okay, so switching gears a bit to let's see, the raw horsepower of these systems.
Yeah.
Meta. They recently put out their perception encoders, PE.
Right, the vision models.
Yeah, for images and video.
Yeah.
And apparently they're performing well, really well.
Yeah.
Better than things like Intern VL3, Qwen 2.5 VL on some key benchmarks. And get this, their PE core model. It's beating SIGLIKE 2 on zero-shot image tasks.
That is interesting. Zero shot is always a tough benchmark.
Right. It means it can understand and classify images it's literally never encountered before.
Hmm.
What does that kind of lead signal to you?
Well, it just shows that relentless push, doesn't it, towards foundational models with ever more sophisticated perception.
Yeah.
The fact that PE Core is topping established models on zero shot, it suggests we're inching closer to systems that can genuinely generalize visual understanding to totally new situations.
Which has massive implications for, well, everything from self-driving cars to robotics, maybe even medical scans.
Exactly. Anywhere that interpreting novel visual data is critical. And the fact that it's under an A2.0 license, that's important too. It encourages wider use, more innovation.
Good point. And, sticking with these powerful models getting out there, Alibaba Qwen just launched a Qwen chat app for iOS and Android.
Oh,
It really feels like these advanced capabilities are, landing directly in people's pockets more and more.
that's definitely the trend, isn't it? Greater accessibility. It's not just about the lab breakthroughs anymore.
Right?
It's about getting these tools into more hands through easier interfaces that could unlock all sorts of new applications, things we haven't even thought of.
Absolutely.
Ah.
Now, a big piece of making this AI actually work for everyone is efficiency, right? And cost. Hugging Face seems to be leading the charge there.
They're doing some great work.
Making it super cost effective to run inference across like tons of LoRa models.
Right, LoRi, the low-rank adaptation technique, makes fine-tuning much more manageable.
Exactly. And they've also got this new text-to-speech model, Dia 1.6b.
Yeah.
State-of-the-art, apparently, and also really cheap to run via their FAL platform.
Yeah.
How significant are these kinds of efficiency gains for, accessibility?
Oh, they're vital. Completely vital for democratizing AI. When you slash the cost of running these models, you lower the barrier to entry dramatically.
Yeah.
For developers, startups, smaller organizations, everyone.
Yeah.
And having a high-quality, low-cost text-to-speech model that has huge potential for accessibility, obviously, but also for voice apps, content creation, tons of stuff.
Makes sense. OpenAI is also playing in this space, expanding access to their deep research tool.
The one using the O4 mini model?
Yeah, that's one. Lightweight.
Yeah.
It's now available to more users, even folks on the free tier. Seems like they want more people doing AI research.
It's a smart move, potentially give more people access to the tools. You empower more experimentation.
Yeah.
Could lead to new ideas, new applications coming from places you wouldn't expect.
And speaking of platforms bringing things together, look at Perplexity.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be turning into this kind of central hub. They just added Grok 3 beta and that O4 mini to their model selector.
Right. Alongside other big ones.
Yeah, plus OpenAI's latest image model. It's like a growing toolbox all in one place.
And platforms like that are crucial, really. They help curate this exploding ecosystem, makes it way easier for users to find, compare, and actually use different AI tools without getting lost.
Yeah, definitely needed. Okay, here's a slightly more technical one that caught my eye. OpenRLHF.
Reinforcement learning from human feedback.
Right. They're now using VLLM for it.
Yeah.
Now, RLHF is, training AI based on human feedback to align it better. And VLLM is known for being super efficient with large models. Why is that specific integration noteworthy?
It's all about efficiency and scale again. VLLM is really clever about how it handles memory and attention,
Okay.
which makes training these huge models, especially with the feedback loop of RLHF, much more practical, much faster.
So potentially faster improvements, more refined models, aligned with what we actually want them to do.
That's the idea. Faster iteration, better alignment.
Got it. And we can't skip the Surya OCR model.
Oh yeah, the optical character recognition.
Right. The alpha version already supports over 90 languages.
Wow.
Plus, it handles tricky stuff like latex, formatting, bounding boxes. That sounds incredibly useful for anyone wrestling with documents from all over.
Absolutely. Being able to reliably pull info from diverse documents, different languages, complex layouts, that's foundational for so many AI tasks.
Like data entry, analysis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And handling things like latex formatting well. That's a big deal for scientific and technical fields.
Okay, so let's pivot a bit to the tools and frameworks making development itself easier. Megaparse popped up. Seems like a massive time saver. Basically takes all sorts of document formats and turns them into data that LLMs can just use.
Right. Gets it LLM ready.
How much does a tool like that change the game for developers?
Oh, hugely. Data prep is often, let's be honest, a slog.
Yeah, it can be.
So automating that transformation, taking unstructured stuff and making it digestible for an LLM, that frees up so much time. Developers can focus on building the actual app, not just wrestling data. It speeds everything up.
Makes sense. Then there's LangGraph DevX. Development's ongoing there, and there's this interesting debate happening.
About the agent constructors, classes versus functions.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of fascinating watching these core design decisions get hashed out in the open.
Well, these architectural debates are really important, right? They shape the best practices.
Sure.
Choosing between classes and functions, it impacts flexibility, how easy it is to maintain the code, how easy it is to use. These discussions basically form the foundations of the tools we'll all be using.
Good point. Google's also trying to make things easier, putting out a quick start guide for their agent development kit, the ADK.
Lowering the barrier to entry again?
Seems to be a theme, right? Making agent building more accessible feels like a crucial step for getting more innovation going.
Totally agree. Clear guides, accessible tools that empowers more developers to experiment with autonomous AI. You get more diverse ideas that way.
And pushing the creative boundaries, reflection flow, and the JonRef1M dataset.
Ah, yes. The diffusion models are refining their own output.
Yeah. Using image generation models, essentially, to look back at their own work and improve it, that feels pretty novel for boosting quality.
It really does. It points to this interesting trend in generative AI, moving beyond just making stuff to building systems that can actually critique and enhance their own creations.
Like self-improvement for AI.
Kind of. And that JonRef1M dataset is likely key, right? Providing the examples they need to learn how to reflect and refine effectively could lead to much higher quality output down the line.
Always interesting to see where the money's going to. The OpenAI Codex Fund announced recipients.
Oh, who got funded?
VLLM, which we mentioned. Also OSP, NetEcker for security, Pulumi, Dagster for workflows.
Okay, so focusing on core infrastructure and tooling.
Seems like it. It gives you a sense of what's seen as critical for building out this whole ecosystem. Security, efficiency, developer tools.
Makes sense. Those are crucial for the field to mature properly.
We're also seeing some really specific, almost niche research popping up. Spotify developed FizeMap.
For summarizing long videos, right?
Yeah.
Unsupervised.
Yeah, hour-long videos using meta-prompting. And ByteDance has Quad Mix. That's for more efficient LLM pre-training using clever data selection.
Right. Quality, diversity, balance, selection.
It just shows how AI is being fine-tuned for really specific, complex jobs now.
Exactly. As the field matures, you see more of this targeted research solving particular industry problems or technical hurdles. It's getting much more specialized.
And if you are a researcher needing data, DeepSeek R1 is offering new queryable data sets. More good data is always helpful, right?
Generally, yes, absolutely. Access to diverse, high-quality, well-curated data is just fundamental for training AI models that are robust and can generalize.
And being able to query it easily helps too.
Definitely enhances the value for research.
Okay, one last tool update. Trackers v2.0.0 is out. It combines object detection with multi-object tracking.
Putting those together.
Yeah, sounds super useful for anything involving video analysis, understanding movement.
For sure. Integrating detection and tracking streamlines things massively for, say, surveillance, autonomous vehicles, robotics, anywhere you need to know what multiple things are and where they're going over time.
Okay, so we've seen tons of cool progress in the models themselves, the tools. Now, how are these systems actually fitting into bigger workflows? There seems to be this growing drumbeat about needing more visibility into AI workflows.
Yeah, weights and biases, DeepSet.ai, they've been highlighting this.
As these systems get more complex, seeing inside feels more important, doesn't it?
It's becoming essential. When you're dealing with intricate, maybe multi-agent systems, you have to be able to monitor them, debug them, understand why they're doing what they're doing.
For reliability, trust.
Both. Understanding what's happening under the hood isn't a nice to have anymore. It's a necessity, especially for building trustworthy AI.
Makes sense. And Meta's looking ahead too, hiring researchers specifically for 3D generative AI.
Interesting. Moving into creating immersive digital content.
Seems like it. Suggests a big push for AI to play a much larger role there, maybe in VRR experiences down the line.
That fits the broader pattern, right? AI generating more complex, realistic content across different types of media. 3D is a logical next step for virtual worlds.
And it's clear AI assistants aren't just staying in their own apps anymore. The Perplexity Android app, it's going to be pre-installed on Motorola phones.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and they're even throwing in a Perplexity Pro trial on the Moto Razr. That feels like a pretty big step for integrating AI into just everyday phone use.
That kind of pre-installation, it shows device makers are betting big on AI assistance being a key feature, a selling point.
A differentiator.
Exactly. They think integrated AI is something consumers will really want.
And on the enterprise side, Google Cloud showed off personalized, real-time, multimodal agents.
Powered by Gemini 2.0 Flash and their live API.
Yep. The potential for that kind of advanced agent tech within cloud services seems huge.
Oh, absolutely. Demos like that really highlight the potential for AI to create incredibly interactive, personalized experiences right within the cloud environment, mixing text, audio, vision, all in real time.
Okay, let's pivot to something really crucial. Understanding and evaluating AI. There's this clear, loud call for more focus on AI interpretability.
Understanding how these models tick.
Right. How they reach decisions and how we can design them to be more transparent. The need for academic focus here seems paramount. If we can't grasp how they work, how can we ever really trust them?
It's such a fundamental challenge, and it's not just academic, right? Interpretability is critical for building AI that's safe, reliable, ethical, stuff you can actually deploy in the real world, especially in high-stakes situations.
Like medicine or finance.
Exactly. Understanding the decision process is key to finding biases, catching unintended consequences before they cause harm.
And, on a more down-to-earth level, someone mentioned that AI-assisted coding right now, it can still feel a bit clunky sometimes.
Mm-hmm. The UI UX.
Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement in just the user experience. A good reminder that even with amazing tech underneath, how easy it is to use still really matters.
That's a super valid point. The AI's coding capabilities are racing ahead, but the tools we use to interact with them, they need refinement to make the whole experience smoother, more intuitive for developers.
On the flip side, though, for people wanting to evaluate these models themselves, it sounds like there are more free and open resources becoming available.
Yeah, for LLM evaluations.
It feels like a positive step for transparency, right? Empowering users.
Definitely. Making evaluation tools and methods accessible helps everyone, researchers, devs, even end users, get a better handle on what different models are good at, what their weaknesses are for specific tasks. It fosters a more informed ecosystem.
Okay, shifting again to the sort of broader societal impact. There's this interesting idea floating around that maybe through AI, high-quality content could become accessible to basically everyone.
Democratizing content creation.
Yeah, it's a really thought-provoking idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big implications for information media.
Well, if you look at how fast generative AI for text, images, even video is improving, it's not implausible.
Right.
It could empower individuals, smaller groups, but it also raises huge questions, doesn't it, about the role of professional creators, information overload, maybe even the nature of truth.
Deep questions. We're also seeing very concrete examples of AI adoption in big companies. Uber's developer platform team, they're using LangGraph now to automate writing unit tests.
Ah, a practical application.
Totally. That's something that can deliver real efficiency gains in software development, freeing up developer time.
And that's a perfect example of how these AI tools are starting to slot into existing workflows, making companies more productive. Automating tedious stuff like test generation lets devs focus on harder problems.
And the job market keeps shifting too. Companies like Scarano are hiring specifically for roles that blend AI skills with creativity.
Interesting mix. AI plus creativity.
Yeah. What does that intersection suggest to you?
It suggests companies are realizing AI isn't just about automation, it's about augmenting human abilities, including creativity. It points towards new ways of innovating, and it also highlights the kind of hybrid skills that are probably going to be really valuable going forward.
Right. Okay, finally, let's just touch briefly on the AI research scene itself. Meta is going to be at the ICLR 2025 ICXPO in Singapore.
Big conference, ICLR, always important.
Yeah, and there was apparently a chart shared showing ICLR participation by country, acceptance rates, giving a little snapshot of the global research landscape.
Always interesting to see where the hotspots are.
And there's this kind of, maybe a hot take circulating, that there's a potential shift happening in the field. Less focus purely on research, more emphasis now on development, on practical applications.
Yeah, you hear that sentiment sometimes. It reflects the dynamic nature of the field, right? The importance of global collaboration, but also this constant tension between fundamental discovery and actually getting AI deployed and working in the real world. More industry presence at academic events like ICLR definitely points towards that application focus too.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it's just undeniable, isn't it? We're in a period of incredibly fast progress across the board.
Models, tools, applications.
Foundational model breakthroughs, new tools, making things more accessible, AI weaving itself into industries, into our lives. The speed is really something.
Truly remarkable.
And alongside that, thankfully, a growing focus on the crucial stuff, understanding these systems, evaluating them, thinking about the ethics.
And this overview, it's really just a snapshot, isn't it? A glimpse into a field that's changing almost daily.
Yeah.
The developments we talked about.
Yeah.
Huge potential, definitely. But they also bring up some really profound questions about where AI is heading and, what it means for all of us.
Absolutely. Which brings us to that final thought. Considering this sheer velocity, this pace of change, what fundamental assumptions about technology, about society, maybe even about ourselves, what assumptions might we find ourselves seriously questioning or having to rethink in the really near future because of where AI is going?
That's definitely something to chew on.